So here are some of the more detailed frame-by-frame sequences that I made for episode 1. And I want to talk you through a little bit how I made these and the thought process. So yeah, let me show you in detail each one of these shots and how they were made. So I'll start with this shot because this is the only shot that I used Photoshop. All the other ones are done in Adobe Animate. But this one here, I animated this in Photoshop because of the brush. I wanted this brush effect. And yeah, so I've got it set up at 12 frames per second, as you can see. And basically when I made this one, I started with this image here, and the first thing I did is I drew this image 3 times, so you can see there's 3 different frames of it here, and that creates a technique called boiling, and that way you can loop the 3 frames and it gives it some movement, it gives it some shaking. And so basically with this one, I started with the full image and then I went backwards from there. So it probably took maybe a day or 2 to animate this. I can't really remember now. I didn't keyframe any of it. On some of them I've keyframed them, which gave me a more specific result in terms of movement, like if I wanted it to sort of go a certain way. But with this one, I knew I just wanted to shrink all of the image down until it disappears, basically. And then I thought I can reverse that, I can play with that, and it can come from nothing or it can go into nothing. So yeah, it was basically, you can see here each frame, and I made sure that, or I tried to make sure that every little shape didn't just suddenly disappear, so it goes somewhere. And sometimes I have to do it sort of shape by shape. So you see there's this big section here. That would be a good starting point, just to start with the big section, shrink that big section down. I can see it's twirling around here, and then it goes into nothing. And then I could build everything up around it using this big shape as a guideline. And then we've got this long line here as well. And you see this line's going around here. And then just sort of make everything go into it and make it look as good as possible, really, until it all disappears and you're left with this. Boom. So yeah, that was the first one that I did. And then let's go on to the other sequences. So this is one here. For some reason I've named it Face Mess because we've got faces within it. So all the others are done on Adobe Animate because I don't know, it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot easier. You can change it as well quite easily, like you can click on the pen tool and change the stroke size, for example. So again, with this one, I'm pretty sure I definitely started with this, and this was just an image I made like a while ago, and there was literally no thought process behind this image. It was like, I think, me on a stress day just trying to get out, just drawing, you know. It's a mess, but I quite like it because it's like a brain vomit of just shapes, and there's a lot within it. but like you can see his little faces, and it's like a vortex in some way. So like again with this one, I started with this main image, boiled it so we've got some movement, and then I went backwards from there, and as you can see with this one, I did it all into the corner. The previous shot I just showed you, I sort of shrunk it down into the middle, but this one is into the corner. And this actually took ages, I think. This probably took a few days. But again, with this one, what I did is I did all the outline first. So I took this design here, and then I would have just drawn the outline and shrunk the outline down, if that makes sense. So you've got all of this outer bit here. So imagine that as one shape, and you're just shrinking that down like that. And then I tried to painstakingly fill in all the detail in between and just sort of move every shape accordingly down with it. And again, I probably would have started with the bigger, more prominent shapes like this. And then obviously I colour afterwards. Unfortunately, I haven't actually saved the non-coloured version, so I'll remember to do it in the future, but it'd be nice to show you side by side of coloured and non-coloured. But yeah, that's this one. Then we got this. This is my favourite one by far. This is again one of my doodles, just getting out like a brain vomit of illustrations that I like. It's sort of like a good way to handle stress, to start drawing and draw all these shapes. And this, I think, was probably the most challenging one. Like, this was definitely, I spent a long time on this, at least 3 or 4 days, I think. I don't know. And I think I keyframed this one. I can't remember now. I need to be more organised with my behind the scene process. But I would have started with this and boiled it. And then I reckon I keyframed it around here. And maybe again around here. And I had this little cube in which all the shapes go into. So yeah, you can see it spilling out there. But yeah, I really like the movement on this one, because it's sort of, the first half of it doesn't progress as much. It sort of stays more confined within here, and then around here it comes out a little bit more explosive, but very soft as well. So this is one of my favourite ones. And again with this I could loop it, reuse it, and you'll see that on episode 1. And with this as well, another thing I did is, so after I animated this and I rendered it without the background, I'd then take it into After Effects, and then for the episode I duplicated it, so you can see here. So you can see the face mesh sequence was there, and then the next shot we had the same design duplicated 4 times, and I centered them all and resized them, and I actually changed the hue on each one of them so they're a different colour, and having them multiplied together like this it looks really cool now, and looks like there's a lot more going on. Then we see our character breaking through it. But again, like, yeah, the thought process with this is like a lot going on in your head, and it's like brain vomit coming out. Like, it's like a painful sequence. So yeah. And then what else do we have? So this one is after the character vomits. I guess I'll show you the character vomiting first. this was the Elvis character, and I had a few frames here of him panting. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he closes his mouth, 6, 7, and then it goes back. And so I have him panting a little bit, and then just have his mouth shake a little bit there. It brings his body down, and he throws up all these colourful shapes, which I did frame by frame again. So you see that's 1 frame, 2, 3, 5, 6. And this didn't necessarily take too long. It's just a case of drawing the shapes coming down and then splashing on the ground with little splash effects here, and then colouring it all afterwards, obviously. And I like the way it spreads across the ground. But then these are on separate layers, so the sick is separate to the body, which is why he's in front of it there. If I did that, it would be behind it. But I composed it all in After Effects, so I would have rendered each of these layers separately and then put it into After Effects. And then the shot following that was the close-up of his colourful sick, which I just started with this shot, which I quite simply drew just a shape with some stuff going on inside it, and just thought, I want to expand that and go into it like a vortex. And so you see it transitioning into the next shot that way. And so yeah, that's that one. And I think that's it. Oh, and then we have this one last shot, which is the final shot in the episode. And this is right at the end of the episode. We see the face melting. See him there, goes.
See you soon.
And then he melts. So, although he is a different colour here, the characters change a lot throughout the series as they play with AI and they're manipulated. So the characters are going to be lots of different colours, which is what I wanted. So this one again was probably took a good day's work. And I think it's about 43 frames. And I would have had the head boiling as well, and that would be in another document. And basically I just wanted it to run completely into the ground and run off screen. And these are some of my favourite. I love making the animations melt. And literally when I'm doing it, I just make it droop as much as possible, nice and drippy. And then I had an imaginary line here, so when it hits this line, it's going and it's going outwards. And then separately, each shape will just be dripping down into that, and then it goes around into a little ocean or pool of the character. And so yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, and there'll be a new episode next week.